checking this out. It looks like, yeah, we're live. Awesome. So maybe we'll just wait for a few people to join in. Basically, all right. So Canucks fan cards is saying hi. What's up, Canuck fan cards? Yeah. So this is something new that we're trying out. We're basically just live streaming. Um, what's up, Tyler? So yeah. I feel like I'm in the mood personally to speak some Major League Baseball. So if you guys have any kind of questions about, maybe cards that I'm picking up, cards that maybe you're thinking of picking up, I'm going to dedicate the next, let's say, 30 to 40 minutes to this. So any kind of questions. Shamrock, what's up, man? Been a long time for Shamrock. It's a cool guy. So yeah, basically Mitch and I were just speaking, and with the short upcoming 60-game Major League Baseball season, I actually don't think this specific season, like if you're looking to purchase cards to flip within this season, I don't think a guy like Pete Alonso is actually a good investment for a quick flip. And the reason being for that is with a short, very, very short season, Pete Alonso is a guy who's gonna hack, right? Like if he gets a hold of a ball, absolutely, it's gone. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to hit for a high average per se, and I think that's going to hurt him this season. Like, we'll see though. We'll see. All right, Shamrock, have a good night. I don't know why Mitch is so handsome. I don't think he is. Period. But. Let's see. Let's see if Mitch can look that up. How much is a Pete Alonso Topps Holiday rookie card going for? I actually don't know off the top of my head. Obviously, it would depend what type of condition it's in, but we'll see. But yeah, again, guys, that's not to knock on Pete Alonso. That's just me saying it's a shortened season, and I don't think he's going to put up like 53 home runs again in 60 games. Now, I mean, he very well could lead in home runs, but it's a shortened season. Like, in 60 games, I think MVP candidate's going to have, let's say, around near 20 home runs, RBIs. I don't even know. I mean, can a guy average? No, we'll probably see around 45 to 50 on the higher end for RBIs, and I don't know, batting average, it's going to be weird. Yeah, Malone Money, your pretty thought on that. Flats on Vladdy Jr. I got to be honest, I was a bit disappointed last season, but at the end of the day, I'm personally investing in Vlad Jr. Pure swing, I mean, he's got a lot of eyes on him playing in the AL East. I know a guy like Mike Trout, obviously he's the face of baseball, but it's tough, right? I mean, you got to think about it this way too. Like, I want to say a bulk of people buying sports cards, like a majority of him, can't watch like his nighttime games, right? Like, you just know via the box score that Mike Trout's like literally the best baseball player, but it definitely helps to have eyes on you and like AL East players. So Vladdy Guerrero, he's a good buy right now. Specifically, I would, if I were going Vladdy, I would honestly stay away from Bowman and go more tops. I feel like the market so far has chosen that to be his rookie card. So yeah, that's just me though. Yeah, exactly, Ziggy. That's kind of my worry, right? Like in a 60-game season, I think there's certainly going to be a lot of market volatility in terms of like you said, right? A guy who no one's really thinking of, and then he just pops off, right? I mean, and that's just the thing, right? Like we got 30 teams, and there's some teams even have two studs. So like you're just looking at close to 60 guys who you can potentially invest in to try to make good money, right? So, yeah. But basically, we will be having a video coming out of my top 5 picks to buy for this upcoming season. And all the picks, I tried to think of, okay, it's a shortened season, so what do I want to invest in terms of a short season? Well, obviously, I want a guy who's capable of hitting dingers. Obviously, chicks dig the long ball. RBIs, steal some bases. So I think a lot of you might be, let's say, surprised with some of the picks. Maybe there'll be some guys who you think, oh, you know what, I heard of him, but through the years I've kind of forgotten about him. So I'm definitely excited for that video to come out. Let's see. Which sports cards do you think will have more upside when their season starts? Baseball or basketball? Definitely basketball. Definitely basketball. Baseball is going to be such a wish-washy season. Like, don't get me wrong. The thing with basketball is they're ending the season, right? I mean, they're not even going straight to playoffs. Like, they're ending the season. So it's got more of a feel to it, right? I mean, baseball 60-game season, that's going to be so weird. I mean, you're going to see a lot of teams miss out on playoffs by a game or two. Like, now every game matters. And don't get me wrong, every game mattered before because so often every year teams miss playoffs by 1 or 2 games. And it's always frustrated me. I used to grow up watching baseball in April and people would be like, why? These games don't matter. Well, the reality is every game does matter, but in a 60-game season more so. But honestly, just to answer that question, basketball. Like, basketball is just a bigger market right now too, and there's a lot of players to be looking out for. And I don't know, honestly, I would probably invest in basketball rather than baseball right now, but don't keep all your eggs in one basket, so invest in both sports. I did do well on some Stanton rookie cards. Yep. Hey, good amount of Cody Bellingers. And Cody Bellinger, honestly, he's a stud, right? He's a guy who I don't think I spoke much about on this channel. And the reason being for that, right? I'm always trying to find the quote-unquote low-hanging fruit. And I feel like so many people know about the studs like Cody Bellinger. So that's why I personally haven't spoken about him in a while. But absolutely, like Cody Bellinger's rookie cards right now, they're pretty dirt cheap. I shouldn't say dirt cheap, but for his raw potential and just 25 years old and being on the Dodgers, pretty cheap. Thanks, Rob D, keeping up the good work. I appreciate your kind words. Some heritage Tatis, man. Fernando Tatis Jr. Like he's honestly going to be a stud. I'm a big fan of him, and I think the fact that his rookie card specifically, what is that, Topps Chrome, the fact that it is what would that be, landscape, right? I don't know. It kind of pops to me. It's just nice. Like you can see all the swag he's got with his chain popping out, and he's throwing the ball. So Fernando Tatis Jr. and the Padres, up and coming team. We'll see, right? I mean, so many things are just up in the air with a shortened season. Like you just don't know what's going to happen, specifically in baseball. But this might be the season, honestly. I was even speaking about this with some of my buddies earlier on. This honestly might be the season that, if ever, pitchers are, I might invest in some pitchers, because in a shortened season, like, you got to figure, okay, there's 60 games, so, well, what's a starter you're going to get? 10, 12, maybe 15 starts max, right? Like, depending on rain delays and canceled games. But at the end of the day, they still got to squash in all these games. So, let's say 15 games max, but, okay, obviously you're going to have some no-decision games, but the point I'm getting here is you might finally, this might be the first season where you have a pitcher going like 10-0, which is pretty cool. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think in such a short season, this is where you're truly going to see a guy like Garrett Cole kind of separate himself from the pack. Maybe not in terms of wins, but in things like strikeouts, ERA even, right? I'm calling it, guys. I think there's honestly going to be a guy who has an ERA below 1. Like, I genuinely think that's going to happen this season. But, in the same time, if you're only having 10 to 12 starts, you might see some inflated ERAs. But we'll see. How do you tell the difference between a well-centered and a bad card? All these cards are graded. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but I'm going to show them up anyway. I got a Kobe White card here. I'm just going to wait for my live stream. Anyway, right here, okay, you can see it's a lot skinnier. So my stream's like 7 seconds behind. Seems like even more. But anyway, you see the centering, it's just off at the end of the day. And you can compare that to, let's say this guy, right? This guy's got much better centering. So honestly, for the most part, especially prisms, you can just eyeball it. Okay. So there are some tools out there. If you haven't already done so, Frank, our sponsor, love the guy even though he picks on me. Frank actually, he's got the best eye in the city. So if you guys are anywhere near Windsor, Ontario, Canada, Frank does do group submissions. Great guy, and he's said multiple occasions that he will actually look at your cards free of charge. So if you guys are looking into just getting a secondary advice, I know when Mitch and I first started getting back into sports cards, we were like, oh man, this card's in pristine condition. We'd bring him to Frank and he'd be like, don't grade that. Like, why would you do that? So if you think about it, he saved us quite a lot of money, right? Because it's not cheap to just throw all this type of money into investing in sports cards. Like if you have $100 and you're just throwing everything into grading, it's very, very difficult to be profitable that way, right? So okay, I'm lagging. Pick one. I agree with you. Top players beside Kershaw seem underpriced. Yep. Carter Infante. Do I believe Wander Franco would be a good player? No, I don't. I completely disagree that he'll be a good player. I think he's going to be a phenomenal player. Wander Franco is the #1 overall rated baseball player, or at least prospect, in a long time and for a very good reason. Switch hitter, power, speed. He's got an arm. And honestly, I think the market understands that as well in his card prices. For a guy who's never even stepped into, AAA at bat, or nevertheless Major League Baseball, like pro level. He's young too, right? Like I think he's still only 20 years old, but he does it all. And I mean, the fact that he's just dominant, guys. Like Wander Franco is going to be an absolute stud. And again, I truly believe the Tampa Bay Rays are baseball's next young up-and-coming team. We saw that what they did, what would that be, 2011, 2012, 2013-ish, even 2008, right? I mean, they were very dominant. I think they're going to be that kind of dominant player. If I had to compare him to someone, in a lot of ways, let's call it prime Carl Crawford, but with more consistency. I'm not sure if that's going to make sense. And no, I didn't just pick him because Crawford also played for the Rays for a little while, but Wander Franco is definitely going to be a stud. I would go Acuna, then Soto. Obviously, Ronald Acuna is going to be a stud, for sure. Juan Soto, what more can you say about him? His card prices, I'm surprised they haven't seen a bigger jump. Obviously, the World Series definitely helped, but I thought that they would have jumped a little bit more. And maybe that's because, he was a rookie, and for the most part, up until the World Series, obviously big baseball fans knew who Juan Soto was, but for the most part, I feel like most people didn't really tune in until that World Series. So we'll see what his card prices do. What do I think about the T2206? Honestly, T206 is very cool. For those of you who don't know, those are like the miniature tobacco cards. Very, very little. I personally don't know enough about them yet, like full transparency. So it's very hard for me to invest in something that I don't know. Again, it's not that I don't want to, it's just time with work and family and everything like that. It's very difficult for me to do the research and to make videos and things like that. But for the most part, T206, very cool. I think there's going to be a market for that, 100%. Topps update is 200, but Soto update is only at 140. Justin H said, I don't understand how Acuna's Topps update is $200, but Soto Topps update is only at 140. honestly, Ronald Acuna has been doing it for longer, and I think that that plays a major role in it. Soto just had such a great season, right? And coming fresh off a World Series, but for only a $60 difference, if what you're saying is correct, I think Acuna should be higher than that, right? So we'll see. Because to me, Ronald Acuna is just much more proven. Um, I'm excited to see next season, not this upcoming season, but I truly believe he can be a 40-40 player, being 40 stolen bases, 40 home runs. That is, of course, if the Atlanta Braves let him run wild, but a lot can happen then, too, right? So, it's going to be interesting. Do I have Card Ladder or Market Mover apps? No, I do not. Jeff from Sports Card Investor, the Market Mover tool. Oh, pardon me, the Market Movers tool is very cool. I just don't got the money right now. Like $50 for that is it's a bit steep for me personally. I'm not saying it's a bad investment. Obviously, if you have a lot of cards, it does a really good job at actually telling you, okay, these are all your cards, and this is how your cards are doing. Maybe now's a good time to sell or not. So it does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. But no, I don't have that. Let's see. Pick one. PSA 10, Soto Tops update rookie, Vladdy missing card number, or Cunha Tops update. Man, that's tough, guys. I mean, you're asking me to pick between three of the most upcoming players. I would still have to go with Acuna, honestly. Acuna just does a bit more, right? Like Acuna's a true five-tool player, whereas Vladdy, I mean, now he's playing first base, so like the defensive accolades and highlights aren't there, and he didn't really hit for average, whereas Acuna did, and he's stealing bases, something that Vladdy didn't do, and same thing with Juan Soto, right? So I would definitely go with Acuna. What do I think about hockey playoffs in Canada? Any good cards to watch? Hockey playoffs in Canada, it's going to be huge. I'm actually very excited that playoffs are happening during the summer, and particularly because Canada has had a lot of, let's call them, very, very strict health regulations in terms of stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Where we're at here, as of the making of this video, Windsor Essex County actually got left out of stage 3. So I think you're going to see like a lot of people heading to outdoor bars in the places that aren't yet able to go into bars. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, if ever at all. But the fact that playoffs are happening in the summer, it's going to be fun, right? Like I can just picture myself in a hammock and drinking a Corona, watching the Rangers. I don't know. It's going to be so fun. And I think that there's honestly a major time for investing, right? Like playoffs. I mean, typically speaking, there's no playoffs in the summer, and baseball owns that. But now you're having playoffs being basketball and hockey. Now it's always been that way, them kind of fighting for attention. But these are playoffs, and these are the Stanley Cup Finals, and it's going to be really cool. But to answer that second half, we got, these are both Mitch's. They actually just came in. Kyle Connor foil cards of Young Guns. He's definitely a young up-and-coming player. I've mentioned him a few times on our Facebook page and also just in general. Like, if you guys shoot me a message and say, like, who are you investing in? I'm not going to shy away from that. Like, I want us all to grow here. So with that being said, another player that I'm investing in is Matt Kachuk. Actually, before I go on further, too, shout out to Mike DiStefano. Great guy over at, he's awesome. You guys might actually see him on Overdrive. He's known as Al's brother. But anyway, we got a podcast going on. It's a monthly thing. So if you guys don't follow me on Twitter, definitely do that. Bird_Bouchard. And yeah, we got a monthly podcast now, Mike and I, and we basically just talk about investing specifically in sports cards for hockey cards, and it's just this really cool thing that we're starting to do. I know so far it's slowly but surely catching on too, so if you guys are interested in that, definitely check that out, especially if you're interested in hockey, because At the end of the day, I feel like I know a lot about hockey and I know a lot about investing in sports cards. But Mike, when it comes to hockey, I got to give it to him. He knows more than me in investing in hockey cards. So if you guys haven't already done so, hit him up. He's actually a very active member in our Red Cape Sports Facebook group. So shout out to you, Mike. Let's see. Cooney Heritage PSA 10 under $100. Yep. I want to invest in some rookies from 2020 tops. Should I wait till update 1 or 2? I don't know. Like a guy like Gavin Lux, certainly that's going for big bucks. Bo Bichette. But the thing with Bo Bichette, right? Like last year, he played just enough games that I feel like if you're investing in Bo Bichette, I mean, tops is always going to be a great thing, but because he didn't really have any cards and he did so well when he first came out, I feel like the Bowman might be a slightly better option when it comes to Bo Bichette. But at the end of the day, the card of him throwing tops 2020 update card, or not update card, but regardless, I would lean towards Bowman. How many Pokemon cards do I have? 0. I have none. That's all Mitch. I don't have any Pokemon cards. I do believe it will be something that I eventually get into. You know, you can even ask Mitch. I used to own a lot of Pokemon cards. And then just, you know, at the end of the day, we were kids, and I had Lugia, I had Blastoise. I mean, like, all myself and my entire family, really, right? Like, we collected it, but we didn't really know what we had. And just like the days of the junk wax era, throwing your Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr cards against the wall. Like, we used to trade them, and we treated those things awfully. I think at one point, here's LeBron. So you guys can see Mitch has got a Charizard up there and LeBron. Let's see. Can I suggest you do a show where you give us hockey players to watch with similar situations as basketball? For example, any hockey rookies on teams that will make a deep run. Any favorites to win? I can give you one right now. He's not a rookie, but Philip Hedl is extremely cheap. Philip Hedl on the New York Rangers. Chytil. It's actually pronounced Hedl and not Chittle. But he's a young centerman for the New York Rangers. And, you know, honestly, all bias aside, I feel like he had some good numbers, especially for a 19-year-old. He made camp young, and that's a young, upcoming team. And, you know, Philip Hedl. And then the second pick would be Kevin Fiala. This is a guy that actually Mike DiStefano has mentioned a few times now as well. Great guy again. Can't go wrong with that. Kevin Fiala, if you look at what he did to end the season, he was like one of the top goal scorers, and now he's in a pretty big market in Minnesota. So, again, both those guys, you can pick up their raw, ungraded Young Gun cards for like less than $7. So if you're looking into cheap Young Gun cards, I would go with that option. Yeah, so that would apply to a bunch of those comments. Let's see. What else do we have here? I know that I missed a couple comments. Alexi Lafreniere to a playoff team is such a bad look for the NHL. Honestly, yeah, it really is. Now, see, I'm kind of disappointed because I'm not sure if you guys saw the episode with Mitch and Frank. Obviously, it was a good episode, but I had a lot to say on that, and I think the fact that the NHL even allowed room for a playoff team to draft Alexi, that was an issue, right? I mean, like, they left, I believe it was a 6% chance, but when you compare 6% to 18%, which, by the way, I think that's a complete joke. I do not believe that the team with the best overall odds, you know, a team like the Detroit Red Wings, who were awful, like absolutely terrible, I don't think that their chances should just be 18%. You know what I mean? I feel like Now, obviously, there's tanking, and that's going to happen in every single sport. And I agree, maybe for a guy like Alexi, you do want to tank. Um, and they definitely did, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, last place, you should at least have like 50% chance at the number one overall pick, right? Like, that's half. So, like, if you put 100 ping pong balls, 50 of them should be your team. That's just my opinion, right? But honestly, I do think it's a bad image. Like, you know, how crazy would it be though for a guy like Alexi to basically also be French Canadian? Like, if he ends up on the Pittsburgh Penguins, he's literally following the exact steps of Sidney Crosby, and a lot of people are already comparing him to the likes of Sidney Crosby. So, if he goes that route, if he goes, yeah, you guys can see that too. If he ends up going to the New York Rangers, that means that you have back-to-back number one and number two overall picks. I don't know if they'll put him on a line with Panarin or Mika Zibanejad, but that would be scary. Like, there are a lot of options. And ultimately, I do think the NHL wants to see him on an original 6 team. So I'm calling it. Montreal Canadiens will land Alexis Lafreniere. I'm calling it. French-speaking Canadian, a team that's struggled, a team that needs goal scoring to give Carey Price a cup. Like, if the NHL wants to, let's say, rig things, they'll be smart about it. They'll bring him to a French-Canadian team. We got Austin Matthews. This guy looks like the prime suspect in a game of Clue. He really does. That mustache and everything. Looks like I'm behind on some comments. I'm not sure why Austin Matthews up on the screen, but let's see. I got an Ovechkin and Crosby 2005 Upper Deck rookie. Dang. Okay, Bark Trosley. Yeah, I mean, those are some sick cards for sure. Am I collecting any soccer cards? 100% absolutely. I've been watching a ton of soccer, or football if you want to call it, throughout the pandemic. Guys I'm collecting. Kylian Mbappe, probably the world's number one striker right now. Neymar. Believe it or not, Lucas Ocampos from Sevilla. Who else am I collecting in? Jadon Sancho, he's an absolute stud. Timo Werner, if you want, just got transferred over to Chelsea. He's an absolute stud as well, so we'll see. Hey, so guys, read that comment. Mike DiStefano says, what up? Sauce a plug for our podcast. So I know that he's just obviously coming on. Mike, we actually did plug the podcast. Okay, so again, for those of you who don't know, NHL Locked On podcast, you can follow me on Twitter, bird_Bouchard, and I retweeted not too long ago. You might have to scroll down 2 or 3 tweets, but I retweeted our first episode. And again, guys, that's going to be a monthly podcast. This is Al's brother from TSN Overdrive, so he knows what he's talking about, and I'll say it for a second time so that he can hear me. When it comes to investing in sports cards, I know what I'm talking about, but when it comes to investing and flipping sports cards, specifically hockey sports cards, Mike might have me beat here. Like, he's extremely knowledgeable in this. And again, guys, I feel like it's just a really chill, upbeat podcast, and it's just Mike and I, and that's really what it is. So close your eyes, picture 2 guys having a beer at a bar. That's the type of podcast it is, and we really break down, who we're investing in, why we think that they're a good fit, and any other news and things like that. So there you go, Mike. Definitely sauce the plug over there. Let's see. Is NHL 20 a good game? No! NHL 20 is a phenomenal game. Skating on the Rideau Canal. Please. Guys, if I had money and if I could beat you all online, PlayStation 4, I would be so glad to do it during quarantine. Guys, please. Is NHL 20 a good game? No, it's a great game. It's phenomenal. I feel like more people, not even in Canada, should play. Because at the end of the day, Madden is extremely fun, but leave a comment down below how many Madden games have you lost to faults of it wasn't even your fault. Linebackers jumping 76,000 feet in the air, snatching a ball, or fumbling on the half-yard line. Like, Madden Online is just sketchy. And NHL, you gotta earn your goals, I feel like. So, yeah, NHL 20, Great game. Great game. Is Trae Young Hoops a good purchase? At the end of the day, guys, I'm going to say this because just reading through here, I feel like there's a lot of comments like, is this card a good buy? Or obviously, this player is a good buy, but should I buy this variation or this variation? At the end of the day, if you could invest in a Mike Trout rookie card or a LeBron James rookie card, obviously you'd want like the Topps Chrome or the Topps update of those cards. But at the end of the day, if you had a rookie card, you would just be happy to have it because they're those type of players. So yeah, I mean, like if you guys can find a rookie card that's in pretty good condition for a good price, buy it, right? Like why not? Like if you truly believe in the player, then do it. Absolutely. People will lose a lot of NBA current players. Larry Johnson, Chris Webber, Penny Hardaway. Do I follow NFL? Yes, Carter Infante, I do follow NFL. Actually, I got an NFL video coming up. I think when's that coming out, Mitch? Anyway, it's coming out this week, and I basically discuss Wednesday. So it's coming out in 2 days, and I'm basically discussing, in my opinion, the two hottest quarterbacks right now, and why one is a better option compared to the other. So yes, I do collect, and I also want to say I am actually very, very, very happy with the Washington Redskins name change. I think it's a pretty good start, and I think that we got a lot of work to do, such as maybe the Cleveland Indians. I know that the Chicago Blackhawks also came out with a statement just relating to their past, and it was someone's name and things like that. But Edmonton Eskimos, here in Canada, that name's got to change too. So slowly but surely, we'll make some progress. And without getting too political and everything like that, I'm going to read another question. DK Metcalf is a beast. Certainly, DK Metcalf is a beast. 100%. He's a stud. Who do you think are some great players in the NFL for the upcoming season? Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor is a great bet, and I think he could start right away. J.K. Dobbins too. Mark Ingram's starting to get up there in age. J.K. Dobbins. That's gonna be scary, right? Like a backfield with RG3, J.K. Dobbins, Mark Ingram, even like if you wanted to throw him in there, Lamar Jackson. So, who else? Christian McCaffrey, honestly, still a really good bet in my opinion. Yeah, his card prices are gone crazy, but we'll see. Thoughts on Aaron Judge? In general, I think Aaron Judge is a sweet player. I mean, swings a hot bat and everything. Joe Burrow smoking a cigar. So naturally, Mitch found a picture of Joe Burrow smoking a cigar, which is kind of funny because Joe Burrow. Let me say this: I love Joe Burrow, and for those of you who don't know, I'm like the biggest fan of the Ohio State University Buckeye football in the world. Like, man, I just love them. But Joe Burrow had to beat out some tough guys. Like, love him or hate him, but JT Barrett was a stud, lost his position to him, and Dwayne Haskins probably has the greatest single season for any Buckeyes quarterback. So for Joe Burrow to leave to LSU, it hurt, but I mean, I was so happy for him. And I mean, check out his Twitter, check out his Instagram, check out basically any kind of social media, and he's been a fan of the Buckeyes. Like, he's, even in his Heisman speech, he still thanked Urban Meyer and Buckeye Nation, which was super cool. Just a great guy. And his family's really, really nice too. I haven't met them, but I've just heard nothing but great stories. How do I think he'll translate to the NFL? He's going to struggle this season. This season, he's going to struggle. AJ Green is starting to get up there in age, and his offensive line isn't there. Like, Cincinnati, not a good team. So, yep. Anyways, guys, also up on the screen, this is our official Facebook page, Red Cape Sports. If you guys haven't already done so, you can join that group free of charge, actually. So, just a fun group, a lot of knowledgeable people in there. So, highly suggest that you guys also join in on there. Would you sell NBA cards now or wait? Rick Jones, I would not sell NBA cards right now. Playoffs are just right around the corner. So if you're referring to like during the playoffs, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, there's a long laundry list of players that I would sell for this upcoming season. And if you guys haven't already seen so, thank you all so much for the support because one of our latest videos, it's doing pretty well. In that video, we talk about players who we would not sell. So, if you guys do have any of those cards that you're fortunate enough to hold on to those. It, it's just a shame of basically what I'm saying is try not to sell too early, right? So, yeah, James. Yeah, and honestly, guys, I am trying to get to like all the questions. Just kind of getting bombarded with some. I'm not sure if I said Aaron Judge. I think he's a great bet. He's obviously loved in New York. Anytime that you have the Judge's Chamber, I believe that's what they call it. Like, man, he's so beloved in New York. I would like to see a bit more consistency from him in terms of batting average, but I mean, yeah, I'll take him on my team for sure. Let's see. Which players do you think is the next face of the NBA once LeBron leaves? Luka Doncic is definitely going to be up there. Zion, if he remains healthy, I mean these are easy things. But a guy who I'm investing in, Colin Sexton. That's right, Colin Sexton. I saw what he was able to do out of Alabama, and I'm like, man, this guy's going to be a stud, absolute stud. And then I looked into the prices of his rookie cards, and yeah, guys, they're severely undervalued. Pardon me. Colin Sexton, probably one of my favorite NBA picks. I wouldn't buy him right now, right? Like I would focus more on guys who are going to be in NBA playoffs. But if you're looking to get him cheap while no one else is really thinking of him, then yeah, definitely go that route. Do I have an Xbox so I can play Madden? No, I'm a PS4 guy. And the reason being for that is because Major League Baseball, MLB The Show, right? I can't play that on Xbox. I used to have an Xbox, but growing up loving baseball, it sucks, right? Like playing 2K baseball, I'm not sure if you guys ever did that. It's a pretty awful, atrocious game. So I want to say about like 5 to 7 years ago, I officially made the switch over to the PlayStation, and I've been a fan for sure. So honestly, I don't game too much. It's hard to find the time to game, and I don't know, right? Like once you guys get married and put one of these on, things change. Things change. Do you think there is a bubble on some MLB cards since populations are so large? Bubble, like that's a tough question, Mr. Lagan. I don't know. That's a really tough question. I'm gonna have to think about that one and come back in terms of how I should answer that one. That's tough. Do I expect prices to drop after the season? For which sport? For which sport do I expect prices to drop after the season? I don't know. For the most part, I would argue that in any sport, after the season's done, I wouldn't necessarily prices will drop unless someone gets like injured, right? Like remember a few years ago, Gordon Hayward was coming off that mega contract, and yeah, and then he went over to the Boston Celtics, and card prices kind of started to go up, and then he got that gruesome injury and was out for a while, and then a lot of people didn't really see his card as investable, so I don't know, like injuries are definitely going to do that. If a player maybe gets COVID and doesn't play for a while, like Russell Westbrook, that's still up in the air. I know that he just came out, I think it was today actually, that he has coronavirus, so a lot can happen for sure. What vintage basketball cards do you think are good pickups? Funny that you ask. Funny that you ask. I got a card right here. Vince Carter. Vince Carter. Now, Vince Carter, for a variety of different reasons, honestly, not many guys can dunk a basketball harder, better than Vince Carter. Longevity. This guy played 20 plus NBA seasons for a variety of different teams, and he was loved. In my opinion, first ballot for sure Hall of Famer. Also went to UNC, pretty big school. But most importantly, he played for Canada's team, the Toronto Raptors. And I think with the very, very, very unfortunate death of Kobe Bryant, Um, and even the Last Dance documentary, we're slowly but surely going to see vintage basketball cards coming back. Shaquille O'Neal still very, very, very undervalued, but my number one pick is going to be Vince Carter. Honestly, why? Because he also just got done playing too, right? Like he just finished retiring, so he's still fresh in a lot of people's mind. And you have an entire market in these Toronto Raptors who coming fresh off an NBA championship, who idolize this guy. So Vince Carter. Eloy Jimenez over Luis Robert, 100%. I'm not even going to think about that again. Luis Robert, obviously, he signed a mega contract before even like coming to play. Like I don't really understand offering him that mega contract extension before ever like playing an MLB game. That was weird to me, but Eloy, he's already kind of proven to me that he's the guy. So yeah, I would definitely go with Eloy. Russell Wilson is so undervalued. Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. And I wish I was investing at the time into sports cards, because I had a feeling when this guy was in Wisconsin, right? Like, again, Big Ten football, and I'm a big Buckeye fan, and I saw what he did against us, and I was like, man, this kid's going to be good. If I was investing, I probably would have invested at the right time, right? Like before he even came into the season. And I knew that Pete Carroll could do some good things with him, but again, I just didn't invest in. But absolutely, still Russell Westbrook, very, very undervalued. Will you guys do live box breaks on air sometimes in the future? Yeah, definitely. I would argue, and maybe Mitch can comment on this, but I would argue that the reason why we haven't done that so far, quite simply put, like we don't have much products here in Canada due to the coronavirus. Like we don't really have any, like, period, right? Like honestly, even before coronavirus happened, our shops, we don't get the love. Like we get a lot of hockey product, and that's for sure. And it makes sense, rightfully so. But when it comes to like NBA and when it comes to NFL, I mean, at least the two local shops here, we don't really get that type of product in. Obviously, we don't have a Target, so that sucks. No more Targets within Canada, and I can't go to the border anytime soon. So live breaks probably not going to happen for a while. Thoughts on Ozzy Albies? Stud. Buy him. He's cheap. 2021 Prism Basketball come out. I actually don't know. I would imagine that wouldn't be till next season though, right? Because like Prism wasn't too long ago. I don't know the exact date for that. I know that Beckett will have that though. Are Lamar Jackson rookie cards worth buying? Well, Mark, funny that you asked, because I have a video on whose cards would I buy, Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes. That video comes out Wednesday night, so be sure to check it for my answer. Jorge Soler opinion. I feel like Jorge Soler, high risk, high reward, let's call him now, in a shortened season. And he's getting up there with age. I know that previously I made a video saying that you could double your money, but again, that was under the assumption that we would have a 162 game season. But 60 game season, if he does lead in home runs again, he's going to be a stud. So, do I like the Suns? Yeah, they're a young up and coming team. DeAndre Ayton's a stud, for sure. All right. Excuse me, guys. I'm just going to look at my phone. One quick second. All right. Well, guys, I am past my time limit. So that's going to be it for this live stream. Thank you all so much for watching, including the one guy who hit the thumbs down button. I have no idea who you are, where you are, or anything like that, but we still love you. Hopefully that was a mistake that you hit the thumbs down. But yeah, that's gonna do it, guys. Until next time, take care.